One of the most cherished hobbies for many INFJs is reading. The act of delving into a well-written novel or a deeply philosophical nonfiction book provides a space for them to explore human nature, meaning, and moral complexity. INFJs gravitate towards stories that contain strong emotional depth, characters with rich inner lives, and themes of transformation or justice. Writing is another deeply rewarding activity for INFJs. Whether it's journaling, poetry, blogging, or novel writing, they find comfort and purpose in translating their rich inner world into words. Writing allows them to express thoughts and emotions that are difficult to share aloud. Through storytelling, INFJs also find a way to connect with others on a profound level, often weaving messages of hope, truth, and healing into their work. Artistic hobbies like drawing, painting, photography, or crafting appeal to the INFJ's desire to externalize their inner experiences. Their art tends to be symbolic or emotionally evocative rather than flashy or abstract for its own sake. These activities offer a quiet, meditative space for reflection, often becoming a form of therapy or spiritual expression. INFJs may be particularly drawn to creating art that comments on social issues or explores themes of identity and human connection. Check out our newly released INFJ Playbook. The link is in the description of this video. Spending time in nature is another hobby that INFJs often treasure. The solitude and beauty of the natural world offer a much-needed escape from the overstimulation of everyday life. Whether it's hiking in the mountains, sitting by the ocean, walking through the forest, or tending to a garden, nature serves as a grounding and restorative force. It provides clarity and reminds the INFJ of the interconnectedness of all things. Music, whether listening or creating, holds a special place in the INFJ heart. They are often moved by lyrics with deep emotional resonance or melodies that evoke a particular feeling or atmosphere. INFJs may enjoy composing, singing, or playing an instrument, not necessarily to perform for others, but to process emotions and explore their creative intuition. Their taste in music can be eclectic, but usually aligns with their emotional state or inner philosophy. Volunteer work or engaging in causes that align with their values is more than a pastime for many INFJs. It's a calling. They feel deeply about issues like human rights, environmental justice, and mental health awareness. Participating in advocacy, community service, or mentoring offers INFJs a tangible way to express their empathy and contribute meaningfully to the world. They often seek out roles where they can help on a personal level rather than in large groups. INFJs also enjoy introspective hobbies that allow for personal development and spiritual growth. Practices such as meditation, yoga, astrology, or dream interpretation appeal to their desire for inner harmony and understanding. These activities often serve as tools for self-awareness and aligning with a deeper sense of purpose. They help INFJs make sense of the world and their place in it, reinforcing their lifelong pursuit of authenticity. Many INFJs enjoy learning for its own sake. Whether diving into psychology, philosophy, spirituality, history, or the arts, they are lifelong seekers of wisdom and understanding. They may spend hours researching topics that capture their curiosity, not for accolades or professional gain, but because the pursuit itself is deeply fulfilling. This love of learning often extends into hobbies like watching documentaries, attending lectures, or engaging in deep, meaningful conversations with other people. Gaming can also be a surprising, but meaningful hobby for some INFJs, especially when the games involve storytelling. They may be drawn to narrative-rich RPGs, role-playing games, or cozy simulation games that offer an immersive and imaginative experience. These games provide both an escape and a platform for experiencing different perspectives. INFJs are also often drawn to subtle, soulful hobbies that nourish their inner world in quieter, often more solitary ways. One of such activity is daydreaming or imaginative visualization. For INFJs, this isn't idle escapism, but rather a form of creative and emotional exploration. They can spend hours lost in rich internal landscapes, crafting detailed scenarios, future possibilities, or alternative realities. These mental adventures often serve as a wellspring for their artistic work, personal insights, or even life decisions. Another deeply satisfying pursuit for INFJs is deep conversation. While not a hobby in the traditional sense, INFJs are energized by meaningful one-on-one discussions. Small talk tends to exhaust them, but talking about purpose, emotions, dreams, fears, and philosophical ideas is not only enjoyable, it's essential. They may seek out spaces where these kinds of interactions are more likely to happen, such as book clubs, spiritual communities, or even online forums dedicated to introspective dialogue. This search for resonance and mutual understanding is a cornerstone of their emotional fulfillment. Many INFJs are drawn to language learning. This interest stems not just from a love of words, but from a deeper desire to understand and connect with people from different cultures and perspectives. Learning a new language allows them to step into another worldview, to appreciate the subtleties of human experience from a fresh angle. The process is slow and reflective, aligning well with the INFJ's patience and persistence when it comes to meaningful goals. Caring for animals, whether as a formal activity like volunteering at a shelter or informally through pet ownership, is another pursuit that resonates with INFJs. Animals often provide the kind of unconditional connection and emotional attunement that INFJs crave. Being around animals allows them to relax their emotional boundaries and feel accepted without having to perform or explain themselves. The act of caring for another living being feeds their nurturing instincts and aligns with their desire to protect and heal. Cooking and baking can also be highly satisfying for INFJs, not just as a domestic task, but as a sensory and emotional expression. When they cook, INFJs often do so with great intentionality. They might enjoy preparing meals that carry cultural significance, evoke nostalgia, or nourish others both physically and emotionally. This hobby often becomes a ritualistic act, tied to mindfulness, creativity, and service. The process itself, chopping, mixing, waiting, can be meditative. Many INFJs are drawn to minimalism and intentional living. Organizing a space, curating a wardrobe, simplifying possessions. These might not immediately seem like hobbies, but for the INFJ, they are acts of clarity and self-definition. By consciously shaping their external environment, they gain mental peace and a sense of alignment between their values and their lifestyle. This love for simplicity also manifests in slow living practices, where presence, awareness, and conscious choices are emphasized over productivity and speed. Some INFJs may be captivated by mythology, folklore, and symbolism. These stories, rooted in collective human experience, offer layered meanings and insights that appeal to their love for metaphor and archetype. Whether through reading ancient myths, studying tarot, exploring Jungian psychology, or watching films steeped in symbolism, INFJs are constantly interpreting the deeper messages beneath the surface. This symbolic lens helps them make sense of both the world and their own inner evolution. Craft-based hobbies like knitting, pottery, origami, or calligraphy are also deeply satisfying to many INFJs. These activities combine a tactile, meditative process with a chance to create something unique and beautiful. They offer structure and repetition that soothe the mind while still allowing for personal expression. Unlike competitive or high-pressure creative outlets, these crafts allow INFJs to enter a flow state, focusing inward and letting their intuition guide their hands. INFJs often enjoy cultivating aesthetic experiences. This might mean curating a beautiful home environment, designing mood boards, decorating with intention, or simply enjoying the interplay of color, texture, and light. They may not consider themselves interior designers or stylists, but they have a strong intuitive sense of what feels right and harmonious in a space. Surrounding themselves with beauty, whether in nature, music, clothing, or objects, helps them feel inspired, centered, and more attuned to their creative potential. Many INFJs are naturally drawn to introspective practices, so they may find great satisfaction in self-discovery tools like personality typing systems, including the MBTI itself, Enneagram, or even astrology. These aren't just casual interests. They use them as lenses to better understand themselves and others, often integrating what they learn into their relationships and personal growth journeys. This pursuit isn't about labeling, but about insight and compassion. Check out our newly released INFJ playbook. The link is in the description of this video. Spending time engaging with film or television series that are emotionally rich, symbolically meaningful, or philosophically engaging can also be a favorite activity of INFJs. INFJs often connect deeply to characters and narratives that reflect their own inner conflicts or ideals. They enjoy analyzing themes, finding hidden meanings, and contemplating how stories reflect human nature. They're the kind of people who don't just watch a film, they absorb it, reflect on it, and sometimes carry it with them for years. The stories they choose are often aligned with their values or emotional experiences, such as tales of redemption, resilience, or quiet heroism. Many INFJs also find great joy in planning. While this might sound mundane, INFJ planning is rarely just about schedules or to-do lists. Instead, it's often a vision-oriented exercise, crafting goals, envisioning ideal futures, mapping out a life that aligns with their ideals and longings. This planning might show up as creating mood boards, writing future letters to themselves, or mapping out intentional life changes. Because INFJs are so sensitive to energy and emotional dynamics, many also enjoy studying human behavior. This might involve informally observing social interactions, reading psychology books, or watching people in reflective silence to understand what lies beneath the surface. They're often fascinated by what motivates people, what wounds they carry, and what helps them heal. This hobby often becomes part of their real-life roles as trusted confidants or unofficial counselors. Creative problem-solving, especially in abstract or conceptual domains, can also appeal to INFJs. They may enjoy designing ethical systems, imagining social reforms, or working through philosophical dilemmas. These aren't hobbies with clear boundaries or measurable results, but rather ongoing thought experiments that INFJs return to again and again. It's their way of understanding the world and how it could be better. Even travel, when it appeals to an INFJ, tends to reflect their search for meaning rather than thrill-seeking. They may seek out places with spiritual significance, natural beauty, or cultural depth, places where they can feel small in the best way, reminded of something larger than themselves. Travel becomes less about ticking off a destination and more about connecting with a different way of seeing and being. They're drawn to places that evoke reflection and renewal, not just entertainment. INFJs don't just choose hobbies for entertainment. They select them, or are chosen by them, because these activities speak to their innermost self. Whether creative, intellectual, emotional, spiritual, or practical, every hobby is an opportunity to align more deeply with their core values and the quiet truth they carry inside. What makes their engagement with hobbies so unique is not the activity itself, but the way they experience it, wholly, privately, and with an almost sacred sense of purpose. INFJs tend to pursue hobbies that aren't just personally fulfilling, but also deeply transformative, whether for themselves or for others. One such pursuit is mentoring or coaching. While INFJs may not always seek formal positions of leadership, they are often natural mentors, quiet guides who enjoy helping others uncover their potential. They might do this in subtle, organic ways, encouraging a friend to follow a dream, helping someone process a difficult decision, or offering insight that shifts another person's life trajectory. Many INFJs also explore herbalism, aromatherapy, or natural healing practices. These practices allow them to combine intuition, research, and a desire to heal in a gentle, earth-connected way. Working with plants or natural remedies offers a hands-on way to channel their nurturing instincts, especially when it involves creating things like calming teas, salves, or essential oil blends that can help soothe others emotionally or physically. The process also reflects their love for tradition, subtle energies, and holistic understanding. Scrapbooking, journaling, or creating memory books is another hobby that appeals to the INFJ's need for reflection, order, and emotional continuity. These aren't just photo albums. They are storytelling artifacts, rich with meaning. INFJs may use these personal archives to track their growth, capture treasured moments, and understand how their identity has evolved over time. The practice allows them to revisit the emotional tone of past experiences and find a cohesive narrative in their life's journey. Listening to podcasts can be particularly appealing as well, especially when the subject matter is aligned with psychology, spirituality, human behavior, or self-growth. INFJs often enjoy immersing themselves in long-form discussions, where ideas are unpacked at a deeper level and surface-level thinking is set aside. Many also enjoy creating podcasts of their own, perhaps under pseudonyms, so they can share stories, ideas, and healing insights in a way that feels authentic without demanding direct exposure. Some INFJs are drawn to ethical investing, sustainable living, or slow consumerism as a lifestyle and a form of advocacy. These pursuits may start with curiosity, how to reduce waste, how to shop consciously, but eventually become part of a bigger ethical and spiritual framework. For the INFJ, how one spends time, energy, and resources is an extension of personal integrity. Aligning daily habits with core values becomes a kind of spiritual practice. Engaging with silence and solitude, often undervalued in modern society, can also be a sort of hobby for INFJs. They don't always need activity or stimulation to feel fulfilled. Sitting in a quiet room, walking in the early morning, or simply watching the sky change can be restorative and sacred. These moments of stillness offer space for the INFJ's rich thoughts to breathe, for their emotions to settle, and for their intuitive insights to emerge clearly. Silence isn't empty for them. It's alive, charged with presence. The hobbies that INFJs are drawn to reflect their desire to connect, whether to ideas, emotions, nature, or humanity at large. They seek out activities that feed their souls, challenge their minds, and nurture their longing to make a difference. What distinguishes INFJs is not just what they do in their free time, but how meaningfully and thoughtfully they engage with it. Every hobby, for them, becomes a portal to something deeper. Check out our newly released INFJ Playbook. The link is in the description of this video.